Chris Lynch, Local News with Boxman. Buy or hire our shipping containers, both new and used, available right here in Christchurch. Call 0800 Boxman.
And Aaron and I put a notice of motion in, and staff worked very hard. They're going to temporarily, for 14 days, and people out there, please have some patience, use one lane down, just so we can see what the effect it has on the two-way stuff coming in past the hospital. And then there'll be two things that happen. They'll come back to us with a report. It could well be a possibility of a clearway, which is two times during the day, or 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the morning it'll be open, and 3 till 5 the road will be open totally, and the rest of the time it'll have parking. But the main thing I like about it is if it was that way that it came out, there'd be free parking there for 53 cars all through night time for nurses and people that are rushing in to see people in the hospital. So there's that option. And maybe the other thing is that it's there permanently, but the results of the trial of how it affects us when we block it off, we'll come back and we'll make a decision.
Aaron Curran has or needs to write a letter of apology for his comments on social media after Sarah Templeton complained to you about his conduct. The irony, of course, being that many people supported Curran. So what is your takeaway from this public spat?
It wasn't our best day in the sun. It was, Sarah was right she was in the rights to do what she did. We sent it off to an independent person, Mr. Green, and he came back and said that Aaron had breached the code of conduct. So we had a meeting yesterday and decided that I am going to write him a letter to suggest what we do to apologise to the staff member involved and the hearings panel in the whole.
This could have been cleared up if Aaron just decided to do mediation, though, couldn't have been, without having to go to an external lawyer and paying them $6,000 to say, naughty boy.
We've never really done any of these sort of larger ones like this in the past. It's the first one I've ever done. So Dawn and I, the CE and I are the ones that make the decision. We just sort of the magnitude of it and the feelings that were around the place. We just get an independent person, because then it's out there and it can't be seen that I'm sort of favouring someone, or, you just got to be transparent as possible. And I'm sorry,
council staff don't like to be criticised, do they? Because they would say they don't have the right of reply. But when you have unelected staff members making decisions that affect residents, shouldn't they just suck it up?
Yeah, sometimes, it's a very fine line. Now, I must say that when I jumped in the paper, you would have seen that I lambasted staff about the Park Terrace thing. I drove around the corner and went, well, this is not good, and I spouted out a whole lot of stuff. I've had to work hard to make sure that I don't do that, because you're right, they have no right of reply, and it's like you're painting them into a corner and just keep throwing stuff at them, and that's not fair. So we've got to be a lot more respectful of how we deal with the people that work for us.
But you didn't read the report that suggested this was going in, the cycleway was going in. That was part of the problem, wasn't it? To be absolutely totally honest, yes, it was. It was in the report. In my view, you're talking about cycleway here. Mm. Yeah, it was in the report way down in the back pages. I did not see it. I'd be fair to say I didn't. So we thought, well, there's got to be a better way to do this. I think going forward, and the hospital one is a classic example. Staff are working with us a lot better to make sure that the Park Terrace thing doesn't happen again. So I thank them for that. Do you think it's a bit shocking that council staff thought it was a brilliant idea to put a bus stop in the middle of a vehicle lane, and now they're being forced to move it back to the side of the road, wasting $90,000 of ratepayer money? Couldn't this have been avoided if staff spoke to the people who pay them in the first place?
This is what I'm working on, is to get everyone to have powwows beforehand, because as you know, down, you might remember a number of years ago, we had the same things in Hills Road, and people really got out of their tree about that. So we've just got to be clever at how we do this, because it looks like we don't know what we're doing, and we're mostly wasting money. So we've got to make sure we don't do that in the future.
The problem is it's $90,000. If this happened in the private sector, that someone decided to do something and then they had to do it again, and it cost $90,000 to fix it up, they'd be down on their ear.
But if you go back, and I said this yesterday in the meeting, if we had the same system that we're having now with the likes of hospital car parking, we would have a powwow, so to speak, and think outside the box. Because I think if it was explained a lot better, because if you look at it from two ways, the amount of money we've spent on Park Terrace at the moment would easily have paid for widening the the shared pathway and we wouldn't have this problem at all. But the council have decided, the community board has decided. I put up a foreshadowed motion yesterday to suggest that we chuck it up on the grass again, and that failed. So we're stuck with what we got.
Do you accept, though, the drama surrounding Park Terrace was self-inflicted, given the council staff didn't seek consultation, then was forced to go back and do retrospective consultation?
It does. It is putting the cart before the horse, and I apologise for that. Yeah.
This doesn't look good, to be honest, Mr Mayor, for a council whose public satisfaction rating plummeted to a record low last year, with residents dissatisfied with the public involvement in decision-making. That was the main topic which left residents most disgruntled. And here we have a situation now where it's a classic example of that.
Yes, you're right. This was done under temporary traffic management. I still feel that we could have done it a little bit better, but going forward, this will not happen again. We've got to make sure that, because public trust and confidence in us is at an all-time low. I'm trying hard to get it back. This does not help, so I'm working on making sure it doesn't happen again.
5 councillors walked out yesterday when a very passionate speech was conducted by a Christchurch lawyer who I understand is also a Central City resident. They walked out because they didn't like what she was saying. There will always be people who disagree with each other, but it's important to listen to the people who pay your wages.
Yes, that is correct. What we had,
essentially, they walked out because they had hurt feelings.
Yes, and that staff and some people were being named. Now, I should have pulled up a lot harder on that. I did pull up hard on it. I did pull up on it and say, please stop saying bringing people into disrepute and using people's names. But that sort of fell on deaf ears, and she carried on and got her point across. But in the crosshairs of that was that 5 councillors walked out, and they're quite within their rights to do that.
Pages Road upgrade, $65 million being spent. What are we going to get for that money, Phil?
An entranceway to Brighton at long last. It is music to my ears that this is happening. It's not just the bridge. It's all the way from Anzac Drive to the Brighton Bridge. One good thing about it is round by the police station, I think it's Hawke Street. One of them there is going to be from down by Oric Crescent, so that people can get out of there if there's a problem, an earthquake or tsunami. There's going to be 2 lanes out of Brighton and 1 lane in. The other thing is that all of our services like the sewer, the water, the power, telecom and that are all hanging off the old bridge. Now, if we have a decent earthquake and the old bridge falls down, Brighton's cut off, and the only way in there is through South Brighton Bridge, really.
A lot of Brighton residents are singing the praise of the council, saying it's about time there was some focus on Pages Road. They're delighted, and it's good to see that.
It is good, because every time you drive from up Pages Road from Anzac Drive to Brighton, it just reminds you of, it's a constant visual reminder of how bad things were 11, 12 years ago. So we've got to fix that, and at long last, we've got the bridge underway.
It's good stuff. Christchurch Mayor Phil Mauger, good to see you.
Thank you, mate. See you around.